What if one book could amplify 25 brave voices and bring truth to light in a way the world can no longer ignore? Welcome back to BookShortz, the place where powerful stories meet powerful listeners. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a deep, eye-opening book summary like this one. Today's feature isn't just a book, it's a movement in print. You Too, by Janet Gurtler, is a raw and riveting collection of real stories from survivors of sexual assault and harassment. It's not fiction. It's not sugar-coated. It's truth in its most honest form. And it's a book that needs to be heard. So sit back, listen closely, and let these stories speak. What happens when voices that have been silenced for too long finally rise together? You Too, by Janet Gurtler, is not just a book. It's a movement captured in pages. It's the kind of read that doesn't let you go. From the moment you open it, you're pulled into the raw and unfiltered truth of what too many have experienced but few have dared to say out loud. This is not a story about shame. This is about courage, about survival, about solidarity. And above all, it's about reclaiming your voice when it's been taken from you. At the heart of You Too is a powerful collection of essays from 25 different voices. These aren't characters made up for fiction. These are real people, real survivors, real stories. This book is a response to the Not Me Too movement, but not in hashtags or headlines. It digs deeper. It gets personal. It lets survivors speak on their own terms, in their own words, with all the pain, confusion, rage, and resilience that comes with surviving sexual assault, harassment, and abuse. Janet Gurtler serves as the curator of these voices, weaving together a tapestry of experiences that span backgrounds, genders, and identities. Some of the contributors are best-selling authors. Some are lesser known. Some share stories that happened when they were children. Others tell of moments from adulthood. What connects them all is the courage to share their truth. And in doing so, give others the strength to speak too. One of the most striking things about You Too is its intimacy. Each essay feels like a whisper in the dark, a secret finally being let out after years of silence. Some are quiet and reflective. Others burn with righteous anger. There's no single way to survive trauma, and this book honors that by allowing each voice to be distinct, unfiltered, and true to itself. For instance, one essay opens with a childhood memory so vivid and heartbreaking, you can almost feel the moment freeze in time. The writer recounts how confusion and shame were the first emotions to surface, not fear. Because how do you fear something you don't yet understand? Another essay takes us inside the world of a young woman working her first job, learning the hard way what it means to be objectified. Her story is one of blurred lines and unwanted touches disguised as jokes. There's no dramatic climax here, just the slow erosion of safety and confidence. And it hits hard. The range of experiences shared in this collection is vast. Some stories take place in families, some in schools, others at work, in relationships, in churches, in public spaces. And yet the emotion is universal. The betrayal, the confusion, the aftermath, the attempts to pretend nothing happened, the effort it takes to just keep going. And eventually, the moment when silence becomes too heavy to carry alone. And what makes this book stand out is that it doesn't stop at pain. Yes, these stories are harrowing. Yes, they are difficult to read. But they are also filled with power. Every single person in this book made a choice to share, to speak, to push back against the culture of silence and victim blaming. And in that act of speaking, there's healing. Not just for them, but for every reader who might see themselves in these pages. You Too is not just about the moments of assault, it's about what comes after. The ripple effect, the way trauma seeps into friendships, into intimacy, into self-worth. It's about the therapy sessions, the failed relationships, the panic attacks, the moments of strength that come out of nowhere, the books and art that offer solace, the conversations that break down years of silence. Some contributors share how long it took for them to even understand what had happened to them, how the Language of abuse wasn't available to them as children. How the world often gaslit them into thinking they were overreacting. How family members refused to believe. How institutions protected perpetrators instead of victims. And yet, here they are, writing, reclaiming their narrative. A standout element of You Too is how it broadens the conversation beyond gender. Yes, most of the voices here are female, but not all. There are essays from male survivors too, and their inclusion is essential. They challenge the toxic myths that tell boys they can't be victims, that they should always want sex, that their trauma is less valid. These stories shatter stereotypes and open space for a more honest, inclusive dialogue. There's also attention to intersectionality, how race, religion, class, and sexuality shape the experience of abuse and survival. One contributor talks about growing up in a strict religious environment where speaking about sex was already taboo, let alone admitting to being assaulted. Another writer discusses how being a queer person of color made them feel invisible in mainstream conversations about assault. These perspectives enrich the narrative and remind us that trauma doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's layered, and healing must be too. Despite the heavy subject matter, You Too is not a hopeless book. It's a deeply human one. It honors pain, but refuses to be defined by it. There are moments of light in these pages, moments of sisterhood, of clarity, of defiance. There are essays where survivors share how they found love again, how they confronted their abusers, how they built lives full of meaning and purpose despite what happened to them. There's also a strong message for the readers, especially for young people. This book doesn't just tell stories, it also calls for action, for empathy, for listening, for believing. It urges us to move past the surface-level allyship and into real, uncomfortable, necessary work. Because if so many people can stand up and say me too, then the rest of us have to respond with me believe you. Janet Gurtler's role in assembling this book deserves praise too. She doesn't insert herself into the narrative, but allows the voices to stand on their own. Her sensitivity and curation shows deep respect for the survivors and their truths. There's no sensationalism here, no exploitation, just honesty. For those who've experienced trauma, this book can be validating. For those who haven't, it's a masterclass in empathy. You cannot walk away from these stories unchanged. You begin to see how trauma hides in plain sight, how survivors are all around us, how easy it is to miss the signs when we aren't listening. But most of all, you see how powerful it is when people speak and are finally heard. You too? More than just a book you read. It's a book you feel, a book that stirs something in you, a book that demands you pay attention. These stories are not easy, but they are necessary. And in sharing them, the contributors light a path for others to come forward, to speak, to heal, to rise. If you're looking for a book that challenges you, moves you, and stays with you long after the final page, You Too is that book. It's not entertainment, it's truth. And sometimes, truth is the most powerful thing we have. If you want to listen full audiobook for free, link on description. Thank you.